Our loss was 2 killed, 8 wounded. Billy Batts.
Paula Deen is in Athens, Georgia, where she has found a rare collection of letters written by William Batts, a soldier in the Confederate Army, to his family. Now, she wants to know why there are no more letters from William.
We have one more folder here. Unfortunately, we don't have the originals of these. They've been lost.
Yes.
But these are transcriptions of the originals.
Okay, so this letter is from S.G. Pryor, who was...
He was William's commanding
officer. Mr. Pryor is writing this letter to his wife. This is Saturday, August the 9th. This is just 3 months after he was wounded. My dear Penelope, I take the opportunity this morning to write you a few lines to let you know something of another battle. Our loss was 2 killed, 8 wounded. Billy Batts. Oh my God. And Thomas T. Lindsley, killed dead on the field. Oh. Billy and Tom were buried as soldiers. I had their graves marked. I guess they will never be moved as they had no coffins. You know, it's very strange that just those few letters, I got to know Billy, and I liked him. I liked him a lot. And then to find out he was killed, it's very sad. So, our next letter.
This is a response of his wife.
And she is writing this letter back to him 21 days later. My dear Shep, I take the opportunity tonight to write you a few lines. I stayed today with Mr. Batts' family. Oh dear. How my heart aches to think of them. Mr. Batts is worse than any of the rest. He talks of nothing else. He told me you had written to him and that you assured him Billy died at his post. He felt proud and consoled in the thought.
It was important for John to know that
his son was brave and he didn't run. Right.
Hard to lose a son, but he died fighting for something that his father believed in.
Right. The war still has 2 or 3 more years to live on. The South loses the war. So what would have happened to my family after the South lost?
We can find out what happens to John Batts if we want to look on your computer there.
Okay.
And go to this website, Fold 3, which gives us historical military records.
Okay. JOHN space. And then come over here to search.
Here's John Batts.
I can see that. To His Excellency, Andrew Johnson, President of the United States, the petition of the undersigned John Batts, a planter, applied for.
It says pardon. He's applying for a pardon.
What do you mean?
Well, according to the Northerners, the Southerners would have been committing treason. So as a result, you would need a pardon.
Okay.
And that's what this is right here.
After the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, Newly sworn-in President Andrew Johnson, in an effort to reunite the divided nation, offered a blanket pardon to nearly all Southerners. However, the wealthiest planters, including John Batts, were made to request individual pardons by swearing loyalty to the U.S. and documenting that they had freed all their slaves. It was a painful task for many Southerners, yet thousands applied for and received pardons.
Thus, he now submits to the government of the United States in reference to the freedom of the slaves. He informed his Negroes thereof, and since then, he has been employing them at fair and proper wages.
And you can see from this letter that he proves that he's freed his slaves as part of his process for getting a pardon.
You know, in the Reconstruction years, how did he handle that? How did he hold up?
It's a great question, and I think talking with an economic historian of Reconstruction would be a great way to pursue it.
Well, thank you so
Thank you.
much. In his pardon, my 3 times great-grandfather had to agree that he would go along with the government's rules and regulations. It's hard for me to imagine that a man could change his views and opinions that quickly overnight. But there was so much going on in John Batts's life. He was gonna have to keep on without his oldest son, whom he loved dearly. I cannot imagine the pain he must have felt in the heavy heart. So my great-great-great-grandfather, John Batts,
Yes.
he was a wealthy plantation owner, and his oldest son, Billy, was killed in the war. So what I would like to find out now is how he fared after the war. I know you can't tell me emotionally.
It was a massive transformation
Yes.
and very difficult for everybody involved.
Right.
When the Civil War ended in 1865, the South lay in ruins. 1 in 5 adult men were dead. The Confederate dollar was worthless, and the slaves, who had been a main source of wealth for plantation owners, had been emancipated. But some wealthy Southerners retained enough capital to survive the economic instability of the Reconstruction era.
We have here the tax returns, the estimates of wealth for the years 1871 through 1879.
Okay.
And I think it would be helpful to make a chart.
Jim explained that it would be simpler to write down the important information from these tax lists, like the number of hired hands, the money in the household, and the total value of the plantation.
And I think what we can do is to do this for each year.
Each year, since we've got 9 years.
Number of hands.
All right, 40.
40, all right.
1873 now. He had 37 hands.
37 hands.
Everything was fine financially for Batts, and then I came to 1874.
Number of hands.
It's definitely a 3.
I think that's the number.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Money, 400.
Oh, my goodness, Jim. It fell considerably. What was going on?
1873. There is a massive depression, and it certainly affected John Batts and other cotton planters in the South,
Right.
in the sense that money became tight.
The money has definitely...
It definitely declined drastically.
Okay. Let's go ahead and jump ahead to the last year of records we have.
Okay, 1879. Number of hands.
It looks like no one.
Are we down to 0?
It's just like 0, 0, 0 all the way across.
It may be. Let's look down below his name.
Mrs. Mary Batts, executive. He had died.
I did find one other bit of information that you need to see.